Hello, my name is Michelle. Thank you for joining me for this parent training session. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can begin. This training session is on structuring the home environment for learning. Our goals for this session is to plan for what may be needed to structure the physical environment for tasks at home, to consider different ways to expand or revise your current structure in your home to include time for distance learning, and also to identify visual resources to help implement the schedule. Routines help children to have feelings of safety and understanding what is coming next. It also helps for them to understand what others are expecting of them. This also allows for increased confidence and independence, and most importantly, provides stability during times of stress or change. The physical structure for learning at home can be really powerful. If it's possible, identify a specific area of the home or distance where learning or school tasks should take place. This may mean that you already have a space in your home, such as a homework area, like a desk in a child's room. Or now that we're utilizing distance learning, we might be identifying different spaces in our home if we have them available, such as an alternate room or a home office. Many of us also are using common spaces for multiple purposes. So we might be doing schoolwork at the kitchen or dining tables. But we want to try to help and remind the child and make sure that we're also trying to keep this area clutter-free, organized with the materials that we need to complete the task ahead of time. So if we know that we're going to be using the dining table as the area for writing tasks, we want to make sure that we have plenty of pencils or pens or spare scratch paper around. To outline or come up with ideas or brainstorm. So we want to make sure that we try to set the stage for learning to occur, whatever that might look like in your home. Creating a daily schedule that works for you and your family will be really important. So depending on your child's skill level, you may be able to follow the recommendations that are part of the School District of Palm Beach County Instructional Continuity Support Plan. There are resources within that plan for elementary, middle school, and high school schedules that are recommended for learning times. This may or may not be appropriate for your child, but it might be a place to consider starting. Creating a visual schedule allows for children to know what is occurring first, next, and then after their activities. It can help to decrease worries, increase independence, and decrease power struggles because it's the schedule telling the child what to do rather than becoming a back and forth between the parent and child. Having a visual of what the upcoming task is going to be or what's going to happen next can also be really helpful. Kind of provides a verbal or visual pre-priming depending on how we're utilizing if we're pairing words with the pictures or if just having the picture there, knowing that that's coming next can be helpful to support the transition. So creating a schedule that works for both your family and your child is going to be important to support learning at home. Consider what order the academic content needs to be in. We many times will want to break up preferred tasks and non-preferred tasks so that we don't have large blocks of time of really challenging work. For our high school students, we wouldn't want to necessarily have biology and math and then reading activities right in a row if that sequence or duration of time is going to be a lot. So we might want to intersperse different activities to break it up, like having outside time in between there or having a little bit of access to digital technology learning or alternate resources during those times in between. Some families might need multiple schedules, one more for the parents so that we know what activities are supposed to be happening at what time, sort of a list format, while there might need to be a separate schedule for the kids. And that might be in whichever format is individualized to the child's needs, object, visual, or written schedules, really for the child to reference, for the child to cross off or move through. The things to consider as you're creating a schedule. How long can your child work independently? How long can your child work with adult guidance and support? And what short breaks and activities may be available. So include motivators and reinforcing activities on the schedule. If you're not sure where to start with the length of activities, there are some general guidelines below, recognizing that every child's going to have their individual skill level, ability of working for certain lengths, and developmental levels. So if you're really not sure where to begin, this may be a place to start, and then you can customize from there. Other ways to customize schedules can include going from an object schedule where we use common objects to help the child understand what activities are related, such as the leisure time has a bottle of bubbles where I might take that to go outside. Doesn't always mean I'm doing bubbles, but I might take that to a certain area and will then be able to access whatever my outside activities are. Or we sometimes have children who have a difficult time with long lists and get feeling like they're really overwhelmed by the task that they see multiple items in a row. So a first then schedule may be appropriate if that's the case for your child, where we present first this activity, then that activity. So first in this schedule on here, first the book, then the Play-Doh, then the Play-Doh would move over, and then we could say first Play-Doh, then math. In the resources associated with this training, there's also a sample first then PDF that can be printed out and used for your child if you feel that's appropriate. Another customized schedule on this slide is really just a written list, but with additional explanations in the all the way to the right side of that column. So yes, it is academic time, but what does academic time mean for each individual child? So we can kind of spell that out. But of course, a prerequisite for using this schedule would be the child would have to be able to read independently. So we want to make sure that we're matching the developmental level with the schedule that we're using. Transitions are when we change from one activity to another and really want to make these as consistent as possible. So timers can be used as a prompt to clean up, check their schedule, and change activities. We have many classrooms that use schedules and timers to help support those transitions. And so in our homes, that might look a little different. We can use the kitchen timers like an egg timer or a digital timer. There are some sand timers. The microwave can be a really great tool for a timer. There's online free timers that you can Google and come up with, and some of them have visuals that support that. Because sometimes our kids might not always have full understanding of how long 15 minutes of work is. So sometimes that visual is helpful. In that picture on this slide, you can see that there is a red time timer on the phone, and that is a free app that can be downloaded. There are a lot of different kinds of them, but that red time shows how much time is left until that timer beeps. So as time goes on, that section gets smaller and smaller. And then there are many families that use virtual assistants as timers, and that can be helpful because it's someone else telling your child what to do rather than you. So there's a lot of different ways to incorporate timers into our schedules and pre-program them. So those are just some ideas. Brain break activities allow for opportunities to either do something to engage more in the task. So if I'm feeling really tired or sluggish or bored, I might do an activity to kind of get my blood flowing again and re-engage in that task. Or if I'm doing the task and I get really frustrated, overwhelmed, I might need to do something to calm myself down so that I can re-engage. And it's important that we're mindful of this self-regulation, whether it be to motivate up to completing the task and re-engaging, or to regulate down to bring ourselves back to a place where we can meaningfully participate in the learning activity. So here are some examples. There are many examples out there, and if you do a quick Google search, there's lots of things you can find. The main goal of a brain break is to be very short, so no longer than 3 to 5 minutes is typically what we do. Some ideas can be going out for a short walk, playing catches up until a certain number, trying to keep it to that shortened time, or a drawing with a timer, or a brain break routine like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is one example. So we can do 5 jumping jacks, 4 spin around 4 times, hop on 1 foot 3 times, walk around the room 2 times, and then give someone a high five before we get right back into our work task. We can also use digital brain breaks. So GoNoodle.com is one resource that is free and is used in a lot of schools. There are different short activities that are broken up into categories or channels. And there's some fun ones that have like indoor recess and Zumba dance parties or other activities. You can see that picture on this slide of a little one who's engaging in that activity. But there are other channels that are really great too. Those 2 channels in particular are the Think About It channel. That does allow for growth mindset activities and positive thinking, and it guides you through that in a really nice, calming, intentional way. And then the Flow channel does allow for relaxation and breathing strategies and mindfulness and some guided meditation that can be really helpful. It's really important that we take a moment as adults and as parents to engage in these activities also. So especially with the Think About It channel and the Flow channel, if you have the availability to do it right alongside your child, it can be really powerful, and it gives a nice opportunity for us as adults to remember that we need to use these strategies too. The motivators or reinforcers are rewards that are given after the child has completed a task. So it might mean that we've given the child the math assignment, and once it's completed fully, then they may earn something that they've been working for. Or we might say, okay, do these 5 problems, and then you can earn, and then you'll do another 5 problems, and then you can earn this. So making sure that what we're working for in the moment is meaningful to the child. For some of our younger kids, that might mean certain toys. For some of our older kids, that might mean working for the Wi-Fi access code for after the distance learning hours to connect with friends socially or on other games. So we can really try to make things as developmentally appropriate for the child as needed, but we should still be working towards something and incorporating that into the schedule, whichever format is most meaningful for the child. So here's a sample family schedule. This allows for both the adults and the children to see what their jobs are during that time. So if we have parents who are working from home, this does allow for the parents to see, okay, who is my go-to during this hour block if the parents are dividing up the workday. And it does allow for the kids to also see that, wow, both parents are working right now. So that can be helpful. This is broken up into 1-hour time blocks, but in many of the time blocks, there's multiple activities listed, and there's some choices built in as well. Another sample schedule is the list schedule. So this is a list of activities that need to be completed throughout the day. Some are more academically driven, like iReady or Success Maker. Others are more break related, such as the balance spins and activities for outside. So as long as this child completes all of the activities on that list for the day, then they get to earn the reward that they had selected. So the child gets to pick the order, but all of the tasks have to be completed. So there's a lot of different ways that we can use schedules. There's no right or wrong, but the most important thing is to make sure that it's a way that works for both your family and your child. So if you need help, please feel free to reach out for support. The ESC Behavior Group is happy to assist alongside and in addition to your teacher. So first, please reach out to your child's teacher, and then we can follow up on the process here outlined on this slide so that we can provide any additional assistance by setting up a time to meet on a virtual platform. So thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. I hope that this information was helpful for you as you begin and plan for structuring your home environment to support distance learning. Thank you again and have a good day.